Hey, dailies across the world. I'm so glad you could join for a special edition of the Driven Daily Show. Now, I'm thrilled because of many reasons, but one reason in particular. My guest today, and give me a moment to introduce to you my guest. My guest, and let's start easy. Let's just ease our way into this. She studied political science. She started a career on radio on MFM. She then went over to Good Hope FM, doing 10 years traffic and her own show. She also made documentaries at ETV, being behind and in front of the screen. She does modeling, voiceover work. She worked with SABC, DSTV, and CNN Al Jazeera. I'm talking to none other than Tarryn K. Trussell van Louw. Welcome, Tarryn. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so shook by that intro. I'm like, how do you know these things? It's very impressive, but really pretty awesome. Thank you for that warm welcome.
Oh, man, I must say, I've been doing my homework and I'm really impressed. And I've been following your journey, Tarryn, for a while. And I thought to myself, whenever I get a guest on, especially a female, we are actually making history. Dailies, we're making history today. This is the very first female on the Driven Daily Show.
Oh my God, that is amazing. Wow.
It just came to my mind now. Hey, Tarryn, you are the first guest, and I couldn't have asked for a better guest. And, you know, what I'd like to do for this one, I'd like to just kick it off with a rapid fire question. Now, I know we normally keep this one at the end, Tarryn, but I thought to myself, let's kick this off with a bang. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Okay, no, awesome. So I'm going to ask you 10 questions. And of course, as you know, rapid fire is rapid fire. So we're not going to keep it a monologue. You know all about this.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go. Childhood celebrity crush.
Michael Jackson.
Really, huh? Okay.
Hold on.
What was it about Michael that you think got you?
I think it was just the energy, the charisma, the presence, the demand. When he is in a space, he commands that you give him your attention. I think that was very inspiring. And I was the little girl with a red leather jacket. I just completely submerged myself into everything that he offered. I had massive posters. Back in the day in South Africa, we had those wooden board posters, and literally it was my height. I had a massive Michael Jackson poster. I just think he's just the all-time iconic performer, presence extraordinaire. He's just everything.
Absolutely. You still have that red leather jacket somewhere or no?
Look, this was 32 years ago. So nah. But yeah, anyone that would you speak to will be able to tell you that grew up in with me would tell you oh no, she was obsessed. She was obsessed.
So being obsessed with Michael Jackson, you've got to know at least all the lyrics of at least one song, right?
Are you gonna do this to me right now? You
know what? We may keep that at the end, but let me jot that down right here. Okay, Michael. I'll play a backtrack, maybe Billie Jean or something.
It's very early in South Africa right now. Okay.
No, I hear you. It's approximately 4 a.m. right here by my end. So yeah. Okay. All right. So number 2, person you trade places with for a day.
Ooh. Right now, right at this very moment now, probably Biden, I just need to sprinkle some empathy, humanity, wisdom, sense. For a day I'll do that. That human.
You know, you took a different spin on this one. Typically, people would answer this one by saying, you know, they would trade places just to be able to enjoy the other person's life because the other person's life is so magical. Is that the context of why you're saying Biden, Joe Biden?
Absolutely not. I don't. 100% not.
Yeah.
I don't want to make this a political matter, but I'm a human being. I'm a mom, and I am someone that is very aware and conscious of the space that I'm living in, the global space that I'm living in. And so I think that if you have a sense of authority and power and an opportunity to change, then one should use that wisely and with so much humanity. And yeah, that's what I would do.
No, no, I hear you. I'm glad we clarified that one there because I'm al het gedink, you are really in love with Biden's life right now, but I'm glad we clarified that. Number 3,
Nah.
guilty pleasure, Tarryn.
Guilty pleasure. I must tell you, and I know this is rapid fire, but for the longest time, I used to feel guilt for doing things that today I don't think is should be guilty. One should feel guilty about doing your nails, doing your hair, going for facials, saying I don't feel like being around my son and my husband right now. Me time, like all those things. For the longest time, I was conditioned that you don't get that kind of luxury, but it's not luxury. It's a basic human right.
Come on,
So
come on.
yeah, so I think guilty pleasure for me would be like I love to travel. And so
Okay.
I sometimes feel guilty about the fact that I spend and I do stuff, but I don't feel bad actually. Like low-key, I'm not.
That's good. No, no, that's awesome. I always see you on socials getting your manicures and your pedicures and your facials, and
Yeah,
I'm like, you know what? She's enjoying her life right there.
yeah.
Even yesterday, was it yesterday that you were, because I was seeing on your stories, was it yesterday or today that you were doing some facials?
Yeah, I took my son with me. Like he's
Yeah.
5 years old, and I promised him we're gonna go for a hair treatment, and I took him, and I was saying like Loki, I always wanted a little girl when I found out I was pregnant, and I
Really?
thought you and I are going to be like this. We are going to do everything together. You're going to be my carbon copy, etc., etc. But we serve a very a very funny God.
Yeah.
He will humble you. And I got this little boy, and I was just like, this very feminine woman is now going to be a boy mom. And it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because now I'm filling this little man's cup with lots of information about self-love, self-care,
Mm.
protecting your temple, looking after yourself, centering yourself.
Hmm.
Which for the longest time I also think that it's a very like very feminine thing or very female driven thing, because men must do men things. But how awesome is it that we can rear holistic whole boys today, where we can do the softer side as well as show them that they are the protectors, and they are they have responsibility to care.
Yes.
So yeah, that is I think where I see my rationale for my manicures and pedis and hair treatments.
No, that's awesome. I'm glad you're taking care of yourself and just making sure that through everything that you are doing, which we are going to get into, you're still making that me time. So that's awesome. Awesome. Number 4. Hi, this is no net op number 4. Okay, here we go. Number 4. Biggest risk you ever took.
Was leaving radio. Biggest and best risk.
Okay,
Would you
and
like
we're
me to
going to get
elaborate?
into that more a little bit later, but
Yeah,
that's an
okay.
interesting one right there. Number 5, best compliment you ever got.
um, Best compliment I always get is that I love that you're the same when I meet you as you are on social media.
Oh
I love
man.
that. It speaks
What?
about like there's a consistency here, and there's a authenticity. So I
Yes.
love when I hear that, and I just like I'm like thank you. I appreciate that.
That's probably the best compliment someone could ever get, eh? Man, or at
Yeah.
least on top. All right. What never fails to make you laugh?
Oh gosh. I've got a very introverted, somewhat serious husband, but let me tell you, the funniest human on earth. Also,
Really,
it's a
eh?
very obviously very internal kind of thing because we understand each other. But yeah, he always finds a way to like just crack the most ridiculous little thing, and it will never come when I expect it. It will always like slip because he's generally most of the time very serious because he works very hard and he's got his own business and he's driven. But when he cracks a joke, it's an unexpected humor that just like it gets me every time.
Oh man, no, I can imagine. It's always from the people that is
Yes.
usually not funny in that sense. So I hear you.
Yeah.
All right, number 7. Worst piece of advice you ever got?
Um, the worst piece of advice I ever got was it wasn't advice as much as it was almost kind of like the way it must be, was this idea that you have to be loyal to things or brands, organizations. You have to, because of just the kind of person I am that type of person. So I submerge myself into something and I go full on, and then you learn the very hard way that it doesn't work like that. You don't have to be loyal. You are the prize. You are the selling point.
Okay.
And so you need to understand your value within the context of where you're finding yourself. So the worst advice or worst reality I had lived was for a very long time believing that by being loyal, the fruits will eventually grow and I'll be able to pick. And the fruits were not growing.
Yeah.
And then having to realize afterwards, I can still be loyal and I can be that person that I am, that good person. But it's also okay to go, I'm out. So that was a cool awakening for me based on what I believed for a very long time.
No, thanks for sharing that. It definitely speaks to speaks to healthy boundaries, eh?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. No, awesome. Number 8, something you wish you were better at.
I think I wish I was better at, which I'm working on, just for the record, is slowing down and processing things before I respond.
Okay.
Because I am always like this, and I'm on the internet, and we must just quick.
Yeah.
I think often I get swallowed into maybe sometimes committing to something, maybe sometimes over promising, and then I have to do it, because that is who I am. But slowing down and processing before responding, that is something that I really need to polish up greatly on.
Awesome. No, thanks for that. Thanks for that level of authenticity right there, Tarryn. Number 9, who would you like to be stranded on an island with?
Gosh, okay, let me think. Must be someone that is that can, like, obviously stimulate me, but also they need to be, because I'm not like handy girl, you know what I'm saying? So I need someone that can help me also survive.
Yeah.
But also like not too much, like not too much energy also. It must just be a perfect balance.
Anyone comes to mind, or you kind of just describing the person?
I'll probably say my husband, eh? Like I feel like we would be each other's like downfall, but also uprise. So yeah, it's just rather the devil you know than the devil you don't, eh?
No, I hear you. I hear you. Number 10, tell us something we don't know about you.
I think that I'm actually a very serious person when it comes to certain things. I'm a very pedantic person about certain values and morals and about the way I practice my life. Even though the way I present myself on social media, which is public, my social media is public, but my life is not public. So I'm actually a very serious person, and I take things very seriously. And
I don't mean to laugh there, Tarryn. However, I couldn't help but see an interview with you and another individual, and you were saying that one thing that gets under your skin is someone that posts memes all day. Now, I'm not sure if that's what you're also really serious about. But
so I think that that is different ways of using memes. I think that if you're using memes to tell your story or whatever's going on in your life, etc., then I think that you must be very mindful and do a lot of introspection, because maybe you're just doing an outcry for help, and now you're needing some form of response from the people that follow you to almost justify your BS. But if you're posting memes to uplift someone, to share something inspirational, to share something that could actually be of value to the next person, then it's a different kind of realm of meme posting. But we know those memes where we're actually trying to say something to the person that hurt them, and they're hoping that that person sees that meme. Okay, that is just childish, I mean,
yeah, it's
like
very passive aggressive, eh?
Yes, and it's just, it speaks about your EQ, and it speaks about the desperation that you are putting out there. So so getting back to my point, I think that that there are certain things in life that you take very serious, like your mental health, your well-being, your family, your children, your EQ, and those kind of things. You just don't play with that, eh? Those are things that you look after very seriously.
No, absolutely. And we, speaking about looking after things, we just want to take a moment just to thank everyone that is joining us right now, right here. We do see you. Make sure to send Tarryn your love right there in the comments below. We may answer the questions throughout the interview. However, we will answer them after the interview has been completed. And we just want to take the time to thank you for giving us your heartbeat today. You could have been anywhere else, but you chose to be here on the Driven Daily Show, a show that promises to keep you driven on a daily. Now, Tarryn, we want to take it back, and let's just take a breather. I'm going to take a sip of my water right here, and I hope you can take a sip of yours too.
Will do.
Because we just went straight into the rapid fire, and ek is sommer nou moeg nou, jong. Yeah.
You missed South Africa.
You know, every day I do. And I'll be back home. I'll be back home now in January for 10 days.
Oh, lovely.
And however, in 2025, I'll be back because I'll be done with my contract here in Canada. And then I'll be back like 3-4 months at a time. So can't wait for that. Can't wait for that.
That's awesome.
Speaking about South Africa, Tarryn, your life in South Africa, have you imagined your life being this way? Have you envisioned your life being on TV, being on radio, being the content creator, being in the media space as you are right now? Have you envisioned it this way, or has it taken you by surprise?
100% by surprise.
Really?
So I think, so I'm very comfortable about myself when it comes to my age. So I was born in 1985. So I'm a millennial that is in the middle of the old world order and the new world order. And so that has almost given me a sense of these benefits on both sides. But because of that, I carry the same level of, the typical must get married, must finish your studies, must have a child, 2 kids maybe, a dog named Rex, a picket fence, and a family sedan. There's that order.
Arme Rick, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then there's this new order, which we'll probably elaborate on more, where it's just so, they're powerful, they're empowered, they're go-getters, they're critical, they question, they challenge, and they're the breakthrough cats. They're the ones that are going to push humanity into a new realm of thinking, of intelligence, of the new order. And I found myself slap bang in the middle of that, where it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And so after I had studied, the ideal was that I was going to go into journalism. I was probably going to duck and dive bullets out on the Cape Flats and report about, we're live from the spot. Thank you. This is Tarryn K. Trussell. That was going to be the plan. And very quickly, I just saw during my honors years, when I was doing my honors degree, that the landscape of media is rapidly changing. The idea of print media is dying. Magazines are not, your goal is not to be a editor anymore. Your goal is not to, the whole landscape of media had changed, and it became multimedia, meaning that anyone with a smartphone could potentially be a journalist, because you're sharing what you're consuming or seeing. And I was very quickly aware of the fact that this space of media is going to burst open, and old world order is going to become irrelevant. It's going to slow down. And it took long for South Africans to realize that. But with that being said, I am very adaptable, and I'm able to pivot very well. And when I finished my first degree, I then went in, did my honors in journalism. And that's where I realized this is actually going to open up other cool doors for you. And so, yeah, did I see myself this way? No, but I am a pivoter, and I am someone that is able to adapt quickly. And so I created my path, ideally.
Wow. That being said, even taking it back before MFM days and before the political science days, was Tarryn always this extroverted individual, even in primary and high school?
Yeah, I was the girl that got the
Clint is so disappointed. Yes, yeah.
Because you know what? For the longest time, when you go into puberty, you're like, I want to be the mysterious, quiet one. I want to be the one that people wonder about, but I'm not.
Mm,
I always have something to say. I
right.
always have the.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was the one, like, she's a lovely little girl. She works very hard, but she's disruptive. She's a chatterbox.
Come on.
So I was that girly, and
Yeah.
thank God for my parents and my mother specifically that was able to identify this, because she's an educationalist, and she was able to go like, this is not a disadvantage. This is
Hmm.
not a bad trait of hers.
Wow.
This is something we need to polish on. We need to hone that craft of hers.
Wow. Your mom, your folks still alive?
Yes, very much.
Yeah.
They are apart, but
Yeah.
developing and gracefully growing. Is watching them is pretty cool. As they are aging as well. So
Yeah.
also very against the grain. My dad is a more traditionalist,
Okay.
and he's resting now because he's past 65. But my mom is just this like very avant-garde energy. She will try something. And I think I get my tenacity a lot like from her.
Really, eh? From your mom.
Mm.
Shout outs to Tarryn's mom. Hopefully, she's watching this on the replay. Uh, you are in the public space right now, right? And you are, of course, open, maybe not emotionally and physically to people's. Okay, let me just say it this way. When you're out in the public, Mensa slide in the DMs. They slide in the DMs, right? And you've got to be very, very careful. Back in high school, what were you like when it came to boys and the opposite sex?
So, I mean, just for the international listeners and
Yeah,
viewers, in South Africa, for the very longest time, fair skin, very sleek hair, sharp nose, light eyes, those were the characteristics until the Beyoncés and the Rihannas and the J Lo's and even Alec Wicks and all these other fantastic queens came out and evened out the playfield on what is beauty. I wasn't the pretty girl at school. I wasn't the traditionally, or well, I knew I was beautiful, but I was not your typical the pretty girl at school, which I think was really cool because the saying, it's an Afrikaans saying, vroeg ryp, vroeg vrot.
okay.
I love the fact that I was such a late bloomer in identifying my feminine, my inner feminine as well.
Hmm.
I had to be a 14-year-old when I needed to be a 14-year-old. I had to be a 15-year-old also then. And it was only after 18 when I went to varsity and to university that I was independent and I started to identify things in a different light. And then I was ready to be that version of myself.
Okay.
So me in high school, yes, you kiss a boy and you learn things, but I had a mom that had to that was very stern in going like, this is all mediocre. This is all part of what's going to come. So there's no rush. There's a long, gorgeous journey ahead. There is no rush, my love.
Sure.
You are still going to blossom even more. You are going to enjoy even more fruits of life. I never had boyfriends in high school. I wasn't the bad girl, although I had lots of liberties. I partied, I had lots of fun, but I always knew that if something didn't feel right, it wasn't right, because I wasn't right for that. If I think about it now, my 14-year-old brain could never comprehend the kind of crazy things that were happening amongst my peers,
Ish.
So I wasn't like that girl, but I was always out here like vivacious and loud.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, and I mean, it really sounds like, Tarryn, your mom had really an influence over your life, and a positive one at that, ever since a young age, eh?
Yeah, definitely. I think that it lends itself to my mom being in education. She almost does research every day because she's working with young girls and she's in spaces where she's seeing what the reality of society is, because she's dealing with families and with homes and with the way boys think and the way girls think. And so I think teachers, being the most underrated occupation on this planet, is are rather, they're such pivotal human beings when it comes to being able to do research and give you a proper idea and definition of what is happening among the youth. because they engage with him on the daily, on
Yeah.
such an intense level. So I think that for the time, she was able to navigate and steer me accordingly, for my safety and for my preservation and my eventual, growth that was going to come
Wow.
and
No,
did come.
no, that's amazing. And we just want to just take a moment right now just to thank all those that are watching. We do appreciate you letting us be with you, myself and Tarryn, just for an hour today. And Tarryn, it really brings me now to the point of, once you were done with, with MFM and
Yeah.
you moving over to Good Hope FM. Do you remember though that first day at Good Hope FM?
So it's very interesting. What had happened was I was scouted, because I was on campus radio with MFM.
Mhm.
We had almost like a little sister relationship because MFM's community based and Good Hope is commercial. It's big city radio. So what had happened was we would have like this little relationship where we would have students from MFM Stellenbosch go and do little inserts on a Friday night. So it was almost running simultaneously. They overlapped each other. So
Okay.
I would go and do an insert every Saturday, or go do the top 10 campus countdown. And then I would go and share what's happening on the campuses. And because Good Hope was a youth radio station and we targeted students, nightlife, party, etc. So, yeah, that's how it came in. And then eventually I was then asked, like, well, would you like a contract with us? And that's,
Sure. Now
yeah,
take
and I
us
was
to that
excited.
moment, Tarryn, that moment where that contract was offered.
It was huge. It was pretty huge because during this time, the internet wasn't a thing. This was in 2008, 2009. The
Sure.
internet was mid, social media. There was Facebook was slowly coming up. Instagram was not like even a thing. Yeah, like Twitter, all these cats. I think, MySpace and those spaces were like the place to be. And even so, because of access to the internet in South Africa, people that are on radio and television were still like gods in media. So to have that opportunity at the age of 21 was just like, yes, I want it now. Please give it to me. And then yeah, pretty massive. Lots of pride and from my parents. They were so proud of me.
Sure.
And they were so chuffed because they grew up with Good Hope FM as well. So to see
Yeah.
their child now as a presenter was pretty huge. And yeah, it was one of the most incredible path opening opportunities for me in media.
I can only imagine that feeling that you must have felt where your parents he's listening to the same radio station her daughter is on. And
Yeah.
and when I saw one of your stories on Instagram, and I'm not sure what kid this was. I think it was maybe your son was looking at a picture of you uh, in Canal Walk in the shopping
Yeah.
center and seeing your photo on the picture and saying, "Mommy, is this you?"
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy
Man,
moments like that because we'll probably elaborate a little bit more, but since radio, I have morphed into a very wellness orientated space, wellness mentally, physically, spiritually. And I push a very strong, almost, I'm a female activist in every sense of it, in their completion, in our completion. So I unapologetically push self-care, wellness, look after your hair, look after your skin, look after your mental health, look after your how you feel, look after your vagina, your breasts, your armpits, look after everything because you deserve it. And so I work with a lot of brands that share that same, ethos.
mm,
And so yeah, I did a campaign, and in the shampoo aisle, there was a little there was a sign
oh,
over there.
yeah,
Well, there was a picture of me holding a shampoo, and my son walked past. He was like, "What? Wait a minute." Yeah, it was almost
yeah,
island, and I was blonde at the time, and I was like, "No,
mm,
that's not me," and they were like, "No." And yeah, so those moments are because no one tells you you are doing good, because media is, you're only as good as the last thing you've done. That is what
true,
media is. That's how
true.
you stay relevant, you stay on top of your game, and now you constantly push yourself.
Mm,
So no one tells you, good job. No one comes and gives you a promotion at work. No one comes and goes, hey, we are going to now do a annual report review on your performance. Nah, you're only as good as your last performance. That is what it is. You posted something rubbish on TikTok or on Twitter or something. That is what you did last. Never mind if you had tea with Mandela. That doesn't matter. It becomes irrelevant. You are now that person that posted that thing on TikTok. And so moments like this, when my little boy is able to go, that's you. That is you're doing good, mama.
Yeah. Wow. Tarryn, I really hope that you get tons of those moments in the new year, because it seems like it's those moments that really fills your cup back up again,
Because the space is
Yeah.
a spiritually, it's your social battery, your mental battery, you're always pouring out, always giving, always. So those things just makes you go realize that is why you do it. That is why you're pouring out. So it's you need balance.
And now, speaking about balance, I know you mentioned, just based of research, one of the things that you struggled with being in, one of the challenges with being in traditional media is the lack of freedom. What did you like about traditional media when you were in there?
Traditional media gives you the opportunity to understand how the ropes get pulled. What are the hierarchies? Who are the kingpins? Who is the world orders of things? And you'll be so amazed at how very political even commercial things are, how it's very politically driven. And I don't mean political as in a vote. I mean that everyone has an agenda. So everything is politically pushed.
Okay.
People are political. That's where it comes from, populist, So because we are all political beings, we all have reasons and backgrounds and feelings. Everything comes with something, So we were not allowed to do, say, for example, speak about things that are relevant. I mean, we could have had a femicide in the city. No, you can't talk about that because it's not aligned with what kind of messaging we're trying to push on the radio. And that didn't sit well with me. So there were a lot of things in traditional media that I loved. I loved to learn processes, protocols, how things happen, how things operate, and just how things are happening on their side. But what's amazing is that with the push and advent of the internet and the catapulting of that, we all realize that you are your own boss, you are your own brand. You can create your own media space and the masses will follow because you are what they want. You don't need to be on radio. You don't need to be on television to be taken seriously. There are people that are on TikTok that has more power than people that are seasoned radio personalities, and political journalists and anchors. Why? Because people will always go with what they want, what fills their cup, where they resonate. And that for me is power.
I couldn't agree more. I'm then taken back at then you started moving into, I think it was the end of 2018, doing the MVP Club, where you now did your own your own thing, and then you interviewed a lot of really awesome people at the MVP Club. I remember watching it on YouTube and seeing the likes of Nadia Jafta and other folks too, and I'm sure that's really given you, I can imagine, because it almost looked like it was a therapy session for you too, where you could have just been yourself every show. Was it like that, Tarryn?
It was definitely a middle finger to the establishment. Because all the stuff I was doing on the MVP Club was everything that I've always wanted to do on radio. And no disrespect to radio, because that is a very beautiful, powerful space. It's theater of the mind. You're connecting with people on a spiritual, mental, social, economic, psychological level. It's everything. But to apply all those goodies and be able to have freedom is next level. So that is what the MVP Club was. This was after I had left radio. And I was like, okay, here I go, dive into the deep ocean. Best move I could have made. And what I quickly found was, because you must also remember, we never had podcasts in South Africa. So I think Gareth Cliff had left 5 FM, I think maybe a year or two before I left radio. I stand under correction. And he had then established Cliff Central, which were like, I think Cliff Central is like the overarching like brand, and then there's different podcasts. But he had a podcast. And at the time, I don't think South Africans could comprehend. Maybe we didn't have the actual hardware technology to maybe just stream from our cars. Or we didn't have data to just, always have access to that kind of thing. So it was very slow on his part. But I came in 2018, and I think it was my subject matter that was so amazing, because it was during that time that influencers shot out in South Africa.
Okay.
Everybody wanted to understand who the heck these people are. How are they so famous? What have they done in their lives to receive this level of popularity?
And some people we still think, we still ask that question.
Yeah. So, and so it was so cool to like scratch into their brains and bring out the human in them, and so that people can go, oh, you also have that problem. Me too. Oh, you also struggled in school. And and I think when human beings start having conversations and being vulnerable, that is pretty beautiful stuff, because that is when you sit back and go, okay, my life is not so bad, or like, oh, thank goodness she's also going through that. And we reflect, and we can start having gratitude for the good things, and and really put things in perspective for ourselves. Interacting, engaging, it's powerful. And so that was what was the MVP Club. The MVP Club was a platform and an opportunity which was against traditional media standards, but yet reached the same level of like
impact,
insight and pull as a traditional media platform. And it was just great.
No, we thank you for doing that and starting that at the end of 2018, and allowing us just to see the human side of the influencers, right? And we just want to take a moment just to thank everyone that's currently joining us right now. We do see you. We thank you once again for taking this time out to spend with myself and Tarryn. Now, Tarryn, doing the MVP Club and being able to see the vulnerable side of others, was there ever a time in your own life where you weren't motivated, where the passion wasn't there? It was a moment in your life where it wasn't the normal Tarryn. Do you remember? And if you do, can you take us to that place and share with us how you transpired from that place into a space of where you are currently motivated and driven?
So, this is quite a personal story that I probably I'm not shy to share it, but it's not something that I think many people in the industry would probably be happy to hear. I worked obviously at a radio station that is very male dominated, so the lenses are through male lenses, and when my contract was coming to an end, I was 7 or 6 months pregnant. That did not fit well with the plan moving forward, because naturally I would need to take a month at least, or maybe 6 weeks just to recover, post-pregnancy. So contracts end the end of March. I was set to be giving birth in June, and the new contract would have started the 1st of April. So if I had to start on the 1st of April, then it would be in April, May, and then June I have to just, take a break. And even so, I would have probably maybe even May already decided, I'm about to pop. Can I take a break? It didn't fit well with the branding. So there's very little compassion for freelance radio presenters, be it on television as well, if you are pregnant. There's always a bullseye on you and always a reason to go, we're not going to be able to accommodate you. And what had happened was, I think by virtue of being pregnant, I was given a very raw deal after 10 years of being at a radio station that I was extremely loyal to. And so it's not me bashing the space, but me almost wanting to encourage other females out there to never, ever throw all your eggs into one space and believe that you're going to have the compassion and the love and the support. Because business is business, and people need to do what they need to do to look after themselves, even if it means you become collateral damage in the process.
Sure.
And I've never been someone to kiss ass. You know what I mean? I won't sleep with you for a space or opportunity or position. I won't pay you for an opposition or for a position. Sorry. I'll never sell my soul for something that I know that I can do. And so, yeah, as a result, the offer that was presented was it was gut wrenching, but that period of holy crap, I'm pregnant. I don't have a workplace anymore.
Sure.
I media's all I know, radio's all I know, television's all I know. I'm literally being persecuted for being pregnant. It was a very scary space. And by the way, you in your third trimester, what you're gonna do now, girl?
Uh-oh.
It was probably one of the most scary things, and also the humiliation, the embarrassment of TK is not on radio anymore. You know, there was also then the why is she not on radio? What happened? Because that's how it also goes. And so it took a lot of mental strength to go, okay, which I can completely hand over to my husband, because he was the one that had to tell me, yo, did you forget who the heck you actually are? Did you forget?
Wow.
So that was, I think, the lowest point in my media career.
Okay.
But then it was literally the platform and the space that after I'd given birth, I was able to just take a break and go, who's this new version of me now? Because you're not the club MC girl anymore. You're not the alcohol brand pushing party girl. Because that was already, I emceed a lot of nightclubs, I emceed a lot of festivals. Who's the new version of you now? And so thank you to my son and thank you to my husband for allowing me the grace period to grieve and say bye to a certain era in my space in media and celebrate it, but also transition, because the same people that were holding my hand and my followers from the beginning of my 10-year space on radio are the same people that were now also becoming mommies and also becoming young executives and also becoming, they weren't in the club every night, you know?
Yeah.
So it was a beautiful thing for me, very painful, very transformational, and very enlightening. And then we my husband and I established Go Binge.
Okay.
And Go Binge it's just catapulted to a level that it gives me goosebumps. I'm so excited for what it is. The voice of youth media, the voice of youth in South Africa, and specifically brown youth kids in Cape Town and South Africa, but not exclusive at all. But yeah, magical stuff, and that I think was both my curse and my cure when it came to my lowest point in my career.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And Tarryn, I just want to take this time out just to salute you for not laying down and quitting, you know, for actually keeping the people that matters to you the most close to you, which was your husband at the time, and actually listening to him and saying, hey baby, you know what, you've got a point. I am the powerful woman that I am. And for that, Tarryn, we salute you. You know, may kill us. I want to take this time out to salute you, Tarryn. And that being said, you know, there are currently women that look up to you, and people that are watching the show now, fathers, mothers, young boys, men, and in particularly women that see themselves in you. Currently, they're feeling like 2024, it's going to be just another reiteration of 2023, where it's just going to be passionless, bland, and nothing to look forward to. For that individual, Tarryn, any words that you can share with that individual and for their spirit right now?
I think that one of the biggest things that I realized was that it takes a lot of courage to get out of your comfort zone. And we are creatures of habit as human beings. We loop. It's safe there. It's fun. It's cool. It's fine. It feels orderly. But when you break certain cycles, because you consciously and intentively, with intention, want to change things for yourself, be it because of money, be it because of career, be it relationships, be it just anything, even the conversations you have with yourself. It takes courage to break those cycles. And so I think it starts with that, building up courage to be present for yourself. Going, I agree with that. You can't just say it. You need to live it and intentionally live it. If you are not looking forward to 2024, identify what are the things that you are not looking forward to. And identify why is it so triggering for you and so disheartening for you. No one should go into a space where you know it's going to be rubbish. Then you'd rather don't go there, and you'd rather go, right, I need to redirect. Maybe I should try a different room. And it's going to take a very nerve-wracking decision-making process. It's going to require courage. That's what it's going to require. It's going to require courage and tenacity. Many of us are not down for the risk. We're not down for the sacrifice. We're not down for the humiliation, for the shame, for the pain. But courage to do it and believing it intentionally will eventually. It's one of those things in South Africa, like a colored auntie will say, and I might swear now, "My glo sy eie kak. Glo jou eie kak. Believe your own crap."
Absolutely.
Believe it so hard
Absolutely.
that it is what it is. And eventually other people will believe your cup too. And I'm not talking about it in a negative sense. I'm saying when you believe in it enough, it is what it is, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's where it starts with. It starts with that. You shouldn't fear or have anxiety about tomorrow because you have the choice every single morning about how it's going to happen. You literally have the choice, you know?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you for that, Tarryn. That inspired me just listening to you. And I'm sure it inspired those that are watching right now. And a big salute to you that are on right now. Tarryn, speaking about 2024 and when speaking about your radio journey, and we've got about 15 minutes left on this call. I'm sure you have had a lot of haters. And those that are watching right now, some of us are facing that pressure of a lot of people telling us what to do, a lot of people telling us what we are doing wrong. We are pulled in different directions. When it comes to haters, Tarryn, how did you deal with haters, or how do you deal with haters? And for those that are watching that is experiencing haters right now, like what's one piece of advice you'd give us that are experiencing this right now?
So if you give a monkey a platform to perform, the monkey's going to perform. And the more lights and cameras and music you give it, that monkey's going to perform. You are in control of that stage. Your stage of your life, you are the stage manager. You decide who goes onto it, who gets to sing, who gets to perform, how the crowd responds to it. That is you. It's all you. You are in control. You're the manager. When someone gives you a gift, and that gift is mean, angry, aggressive, malicious, it's your choice whether you want to receive it. By you responding, you're consciously receiving it. You're taking that energy with you. You're putting it into you. So for me, I can please some people sometimes. I can't please all the people all the time. That is fine. It is 100% fine. I don't want to be everyone's friend. I'm more specifically targeting people that really resonate with me and that really gets value from me.
Okay.
And if I don't, and you have an issue with that, then it's not me. It's something where you need healing. And I pray to God for your healing. Trust me, because that is so important, self-healing and self-preservation. And then coming back to my point, it's not my problem. It's not my business. I'm not qualified to deal with what's going on with you in your life at the moment. So you don't give people platforms. You must do what you need to do. Boundary up, block, remove, and let it go. It's difficult because we are reactionary people. We are survivalists. We mustn't let anyone get to us. That is our natural response. Fight or flight. No, save that. All that energy, save it. Save it for a nice time with your kids. Save it for your friends. You're going to have some good wine with them. Save all that energy for the good stuff. Save that energy for work that you have deadlines for. Save that energy for the good stuff. Because now you're sitting there and you have to give yourself, and you have to be available for the good stuff, and you're not, because you've given all
Sure.
your energy to the rubbish. So
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
so mindful about what you offer and allow people to do, because you are the gatekeeper of your wellness and your happiness and your energy.
Wow. That's so powerful. Such a powerful reminder. Um, and it circled back to what we said in the beginning about having that healthy boundaries. Um,
Mm.
and I'm so thrilled for the next generation, is in particularly your little boy, that you are instilling so much values and so much healthy healthy thoughts and way of life. I can only imagine what he's going to aspire to be and what he's going to become. What kind of boy is he, Tarryn? If you should describe it to us.
My mom was here at my home yesterday, and she literally said he is an exact combination, not a balance, a combination of his father and his mother. So
Wow.
his dad is the more introverted, serious person, and
Mm,
his mom is this firecracker personality, lots of energy, lots of tenacity. And
mm,
that is who he is. He's a perfect balance of both. Naturally, like every parent on this planet, or most of us, we want to give the earth, moon, and stars. You want to give the galaxy, Um, and so there's this fine balance of, not over giving and spoiling, but also making them aware and conscious about your blessings and your privilege.
mm.
And so that is what it is. It's a balancing act with this very kind, sweet, calm boy, very considerate. He is a
Wow.
human being that loves human touch. So he's always in my neck. He's a very
Ah,
kind person.
yeah.
Um, but that is who he is. Look, don't get it twisted. Man's got a bit of attitude on him that
Come
is
on.
just like, woo, Jesus, take the wheel.
Really?
But
Yeah.
um, but it's all part of the pudding that makes him. He's just,
Mm.
yeah, he's delicious. I love him.
Oh man. And what is his name, Tarryn?
His name is Knox Cooper.
Knox Cooper. A big shout out to you, Knox. If you're watching this, a big shout out here from Canada. And Knox, you've got a what's the word? You've got a powerful name, man.
That is
Knox
exactly what
Cooper.
it was. Strong,
Yeah.
solid, stand up on the mountain, overlook, stand your ground.
Wow. No, awesome stuff. Awesome. We've got about 8 more minutes left, and a big shout out to you that's in the chat right now. We do see it. We appreciate you being with us. I've got a few more questions for you, Tarryn. But before I go any further, just let me check in with you. How are you feeling right now? You doing okay?
Can I tell you something? This
Yeah.
morning, when I thought about our chat that's coming up,
Mm.
I'm in a very high stressed period of the year, and I was so grateful, and I said thank you to the universe and to you and to God for this, because I'm reflecting at the moment. It's putting things
Uh-huh.
in perspective for me. So this is kind of low-key a therapy session, because I'm reminding myself about a lot of things. So
Oh
I'm
man.
loving this. This is
No, I'm
amazing.
loving
Thank
it too,
you.
and no, I'm loving it too. And thank you again for obliging to be on the show. You don't know how many hearts you are touching right now, Tarryn, including mine. A few more questions for you, Tarryn.
Mm.
Being in this industry, and we've got about 7 more minutes left. Being in this industry for 10 years, Tarryn, you must have come across so many individuals with so many ranges of personalities.
Mm.
What's important to you in having someone close to you? Like, what are some of the characteristics that you look for to say, okay, you know what? This individual is an individual I'm going to
Mm.
spend a lot of time with, compared to another individual that I'm just going to avoid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can very proudly, declare that I am friends with the same girls, two girls that I was friends with when I started high school.
Sure.
We've been for 24 years, and
Wow.
yeah, and I think that is one of the things that I've been able to identify, that they are almost rings when it comes to relationships. You have your
Mm.
very primary ring, your secondary ring, and your tertiary ring, and then you have your acquaintances and
Okay.
those all those rings are secured and fortified with boundaries. So your inner core ring, there are certain group of people that stay in that circle, and then there's more on the ones, in the secondary circle and on the church, and all of them play fundamental roles in your well-being and your mental state, and they fill your cup in a different way. But you are managing and controlling all of them in a space. And I don't think it's exclusive to media. I think it's all over, because you get it in, corporate as well. You're constantly playing this political juggling game with people, who's real, who's fake, who's this, who's that, who's the. It's like that in life,
Yeah.
You have to be nice to certain petrol attendants, or you have to be nice to the fruit vendor, or the person that's serving you in the shop. Life is political. But I think it's that constant reminder of boundaries, spaces, order. And you must try not to be a control freak, but to be conscious and present about every one of those boundaries and those spaces and those categories, for your own protection and safety, and also for the relationships protection and safety, because relationships are constant work.
Gotcha.
It doesn't just last forever.
And it's okay. And it's okay if it doesn't last forever. Yeah.
Because very much the purpose was served during that period, and then you must move along and flourish separately. It's 100% fine.
No, I like what you said about those inner circles and those 3 rings. It's such a great analogy just to keep in mind when it comes to not everyone can be in your core inner circle. And it's okay if there are those that are on the outer skirts.
Yeah.
It's okay if there are individuals that you just go out with and have a drink with, and that's all your relationship consists of. 100%. And then of course you
don't come to my house. You
Yeah.
don't come to that safe space of because that's a different space.
Yeah.
It's safe, it's fine, and it's your job to put that boundary up. It's your business. You can't be angry afterwards when that person violated that space, or it's your job to control that.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I've got one more question for you, and then we will end off with, just yourself sharing, your thoughts and just your final encouragements for the people of South Africa, and of course here in Canada that's watching. But on my end, Tarryn, just being slowly but surely working my way into, and this is my therapy session right now, asking from your end, going into the podcast space, going into the multimedia space, I find myself, especially initially, wanting to be a perfectionist, wanting to sound very clean, very essentially putting up a little bit of a professional front. And as I continue in this journey, I realize that, and I think you are probably the perfect person to speak on this. I realize that the longer I am in this game, the longer I realize that authenticity is what people really gravitate towards. And I'm not sure if you've went through the transition process of where initially when you started, you also, put up the quote unquote professional front where you weren't really showing who you really were, but you were kind of portraying what you've seen along the way and thought, okay, this is how I should be. And I'm in that process now where I'm slowly but surely breaking down. And I think it's a lifelong process in terms of exposing who you really are, because of course we also in the journey of knowing and discovering who we are. Where are you in that process right now, Tarryn?
Oh, apologies about that.
Not to worry. Yeah, where are you in that process right now in terms of that authenticity and showcasing that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, yes.
Oh, I'm not too sure. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I can't hear you, but I heard your question loud and clear.
Okay.
So what you are saying is 100% correct. So, and this is probably coming back to my point earlier about the old world order versus the new world order. There was always this thing of the television persona or the radio voice. When I go live, welcome everybody. We are now live.
Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing. And there's a time and a place for that. But when we're sitting over here and we're talking and our tone drops down and we're looking at each other in the eyes and we're having a spiritual, emotional connection and an intellectual connection, then we don't need to have that, we just need a healthy transfer of energy. And I'm a big believer in energies. I read energies. I'm not Goomba, what I'm saying is I'm intuitive. I feel. So I think that people that connect with you, they connect with your wavelengths, with your energy, and that energy comes through in the way that you speak and the way that you present your tone and your facial expressions and your body language, and you can only fake that so long. You can't pretend to do that. It's either there or it's not there. And yes, we've come out of a global pandemic where we were down on our knees. Many of us went even further down. And so there's a lot of us, the majority of this planet, are just human beings wanting to connect with other human beings and to feel like other human beings. And this rat race of always being the best and the most and the having the most and yeah, let it run. But it's the most of us just want to also feel warmth from another human being and connect and just have some form of enlightenment and cup filling. And that is essentially what we should always strive for when it comes to podcasts and this kind of space. If it is that you want to do a more very, continuity kind of, vibe, then by all means, more power to you. But then one must understand the consequences of that. Is that you will always be detached from people. People will always see you as a certain persona and never see you on another level. And you see, the level that I'm like engaging with right now, that level always evolves, always grows, always gets better. Whereas continuity has to continue all the time. We are always like this. The hair is always like this. The eye is always like this. So,
so good.
I think evolution and growth is cooler.
Ish. So we've lost Tarryn due to poor connection. However, Tarryn, if you're watching this, I want to say a few things. Number one, I want to say a big thank you. Thank you for taking the time out to be on the show. I really valued this interview, and I know the dailies has valued it too. You've dropped tons of gems, and I can't wait to share it over the next week with us all. So a big thank you for that. Also, secondly, Tarryn, I want to thank you for your authenticity, especially in a space where pretense is the norm. You've managed to keep it, and I could see it in this interview. I could sense it. This is the same Tarryn that I would find at Starbucks or on the couch sipping on a drink and us just chatting. This is the same Tarryn there, as it is right here on this interview. And for that, I salute you, Tarryn. Also, I want to salute you for being a trailblazer, especially when facing a setback and using that setback for a setup, aka Go Binge. As you shared with us, the network that you started, Go Binge. Thank you so much for being that trailblazer, especially in those moments where you felt like you were the underdog and now you are the big dog, baby, big dog. However, for that reason, we salute you. I want to send a special prayer out to you and the family, specifically your husband and Big Knox Cooper. Big hopes for Big Knox. And thank you so much for letting us into your space and letting us know who Tarryn really is behind the curtains, and know that we care for you and that we wish you all of the best. Dailies, I want to thank you for tuning in. From my heart to yours, know that I love you, know that I care. And remember, like we always say, we're not here just to survive. We are here to thrive. And I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.